Mr. President, we have a national emergency.
This is one of the things that we can shoot first and ask questions later. Normally you can't do that.
All of a sudden these trees started moving out of the way. They parted for me. And then I came out into this opening, and there where I saw Jesus Christ.
Back in 1927, an American socialist, Norman Thomas, 6 times candidate for president on the Socialist Party ticket, said the American people would never vote for socialism. But he said under the name of liberalism, the American people will adopt every fragment of the socialist program. Is more imminent.
James Madison, in 1788, speaking to the Virginia Convention, said, "Since the general civilization of mankind, I believe there are more instances of the abridgment of the freedom of the people by gradual and silent encroachment of those in power than by violent and sudden usurpations."
When men were free.
End Time Prophecy News with your host, W. Dean Shook, is on the air.
Welcome, my friends, to End Time Prophecy News with your host, W. Dean Shook. That's me. How we all doing? Thank you for being here. I appreciate it so much. You know, life can really throw you some zingers sometimes. Boy, I'll tell you what. It just seems like when everything seems to be going okay, and then all of a sudden, bing, bang, bong, and everything's upside down. You're going, oh, man. Not again, but sure enough, it can sure throw you some zingers. So thank you for being here. I hope the zingers in your life are small, not huge and devastating. Tonight we're going to have a good discussion. We're going to talk about homosexuality. We're going to talk about gay marriage. For most of you who listen to this program are Christian, but not all of you, and that's fine. This is not necessarily a requirement to listen to the program. I like to bring news that the mainstream media doesn't bring, things that the globalists don't want you to know. I've talked about the media many times. That they tell you what they want you to know, and that's pretty much it. That makes my job so much easier to be able to go out and get this news that's out there. Just sometimes you have to dig for it. But the truth is the media is not going to tell you everything. And I have to tell you, I'm a little bit bothered sometimes when I see what's supposed to be the national news covering some good stories, covering some important things, and then just drop off and go into Justin Bieber and why, he's being charged with this and spit on somebody or whatever the whole thing was. I'm thinking, what a tremendous waste of airtime. Who really cares about that? When the world's falling apart, it's literally coming undone right underneath our feet, and they're covering Justin Bieber? Come on. I've also noticed, I want to mention this, because I found this very interesting. I've also noticed that, everybody knows I'm broadcasting from the beautiful state of Oregon. Please don't come here. And in Oregon, I don't know if they're doing this anywhere else, but in Oregon, the national alphabet news broadcasters are advertising, saying that they're the most trusted news source in the United States. And this is kind of a long commercial that they're playing. 60 seconds. 60 seconds of airtime, national airtime, is very expensive. My thought is, if they're so big and so trusted and so watched by everybody, why are they advertising? Why waste your time and money on advertising when, according to them, everybody's watching and listening anyway? It doesn't make much sense to me. Well, I want to share first, before we start our discussion on the homosexual issue, I want to discuss, first of all, this gun regulation. I got to tell you, I'm a little bit puzzled sometimes as to why they think that banning high-capacity magazines is going to make some sort of difference and make people safer. And I heard something on the news today where this lady said, I wonder if he had to reload 6 times instead of 3, would some of those kids still be alive today? And I thought, it just doesn't, their line of thinking doesn't make any sense when they come out and say nobody should have any guns. Everybody needs a universal background check. Well, I don't have a problem with the universal background check. But what I do have a problem with is thinking the whole idea that banning guns or banning ammunition or these high capacity magazines is going to make any difference, because the criminals don't give diddly squat about that. They could care less what kind of ban you put into place, because they don't have anything legal to begin with. Let's remember, they're criminals. They're not going in and buying through a background check. Even though they come out and say, oh, we've stopped this many people through background checks from actually buying weapons. Well, and the number they give is such a small number compared to the number of illegal gun crimes. And I just have a problem trying to figure out their line of thinking. Anyway, this kind of segues into this story from Time, and I want to share this story from Time because, as you know, when it comes to the left, to the Democrats, what they say and the intent behind what they do are always different. It's always different. You know, and before I tell you the story, let me give you an example from right here in Oregon. In the city of Portland, it seems that the state legislature wants to now curtail, believable, they want to curtail citizen initiatives. And they want to do that by passing a law that says that any city or any state citizens initiative that cost even 1 cent in taxpayer money will not be allowed. Now, while the legislature passes all kinds of fruity and nutty and weird and bizarre and stupid legislation constantly that cost us, I shouldn't say cost us, wastes millions and millions of our taxpayer dollars. They're saying if you, the citizens, want to put an initiative up there, then we have a new restriction for you. You can't put it up there and have a vote on it. You, the citizens, cannot put your initiatives up and have a vote on it if it's going to cost 1 single penny of state taxpayer money. Oh, really? So we can't oppose anything they're doing. We can't put anything they're doing up for a vote if it's going to cost even 1 penny. Just another way to curtail our voice and to increase their dictatorship. Oregon also today passed an initiative saying that illegal aliens can now have in-state tuition rates. Oh, isn't that nice? They want to give them driver's licenses because the state of Oregon stopped them from having driver's licenses. Now the governor says, our Governor Kitzhaber says, oh, no, these people should have driver's licenses. This is all about safety. It's not about safety, and we know that. Well, here's a story out of Time magazine. Psychiatrists, now you've heard this big push at saying the mentally ill have to be reported so that they can be on some sort of list or in some database so that they cannot buy weapons. And everyone's saying, well, that makes a lot of sense. If somebody is diagnosed as schizophrenic, then even though they may have a clean criminal record, we don't want a schizophrenic person to be able to go into a gun store and buy a gun. I mean, that makes good sense. Somebody who's massively paranoid or has, some sort of serious illness, even though their record may be clean, and they would legally have to sell them that gun because they would pass that background check. So, that does make a certain amount of sense. However, as usual, there's always an underlying theme below what they're telling you. And this comes out of Time. Now, let me say this first of all, that this is a 3-step process. The first step is disarming the people legally by passing a law saying anyone suffering from a mental illness is forbidden from owning a firearm. Step 2 will be declaring anyone who trusts in Jesus Christ and believes that he is going to return for his church is mentally ill. And 3 will be a global religion approved by the state, and it begins. Now let me divert from this for just a minute. The Small Arms Initiative from the UN is back on the table today. If this goes through, any country that signs on to this will have their guns restricted or completely banned as a global law through the UN. So we need to consider this. If America signs on to this, our amended rights are gone. And there won't be anything that we can do about it if America signs on to this small arms treaty out of the UN. So here's what Time says. Now, this is the beginning. This is the start, and this is what the left always uses. They always use the safety of children. This is for the children. It's for the children. Well, Time says religion can be a source of comfort that improves well-being. Some kinds of religion should be a sign of a deeper mental health issue.